District of Conservation is sponsored by CFACT. To learn more about our sponsor, head over to cfact.org. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Welcome to District of Conservation. I am your host, Gabriella Hoffman. This podcast offers a sober examination into all things hunting, fishing, shooting sports, energy, environment, and the public policy surrounding it. And this podcast also specializes in original interviews that you won't hear elsewhere. Here's what I have for you today. I have a great interview for everyone listening with Jenn Callahan, who is the new Director of Business Development and Marketing at the Professional Outdoor Media Association. We still have a few more POMA adjacent interviews to unveil for you all this summer. But before I bring you our conversation with Jenn, a few housekeeping notes. I recently did a panel event at Freedom Fest, which is why I sound horsey. Vegas was too hot, and I think I caught secondhand smoke and some little cold. So you may hear me sound horsey for the next few episodes because I am recovering. But I am also on the We Like Shooting podcast, if you haven't already listened to that already, with Sean. And today you can catch me on the Driftwood Outdoors podcast, co-hosted by Brandon Butler, where you will get to hear me talk about my origin story, the podcast, and so much more. I will link to those appearances in the show notes if you're curious, but wanted to throw those in there as well, that I have these different appearances and podcast episodes. And you can also subscribe to my Substack on Friday, where I largely focus on like outdoor stuff, and you can catch all these missed appearances. I have to do an overview on Freedom Fest there on my list of things to do. But anyway, back to the main reason for today's episode, our conversation with Jenn Callahan. Here is a little bit of her bio from the Professional Outdoor Media Association website. So Jenn obviously is in this role, and she has over 20 years of experience in marketing and business development. As an entrepreneur, she was successful in advancing a business in a warranty insurance industry, which was ultimately acquired by a global company, American International Group, AIG. And as an executive at AIG, she worked with Fortune 100 companies such as Apple, Google, Amazon, Walmart, Bass Pro, Ford, Best Buy, and many other retailers and manufacturers. And after a total of 18 years in warranty and insurance, she had a drive for new challenges and passion for both the startup culture and outdoors, leading her to leave the corporate world and work with Go Wild as their chief marketing officer. Then she founded her own company, Live Fire, to provide fractional CMO services and a range of marketing solutions to even more companies. She's had a track record of success providing marketing, branding, website development, and even support, PR, digital marketing, social media, and other creative services to a number of nonprofits and startups. And I'm very excited for her to help kind of take over for where our previous director, Shelley Moore, is leaving. Certainly, it'll be hard to fill the void that Shelley left, but I think Jenn will do an excellent job in our organization, kind of even moving us forward when it comes to marketing to help us lure in some more members. So here is our conversation with Jenn Callahan. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Jenn, thank you so much for coming on to District of Conservation. Good to have you on.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Introduce yourself to my listeners and how you got into the outdoor industry.
Yeah. Let's see. My background is in marketing and communications, which is such a broad range of things, as you know. And I really started my career as a graphic designer, and that led me to a number of other areas within design, everything including like web design, and that then also in kind of that marketing space. So as I kind of grew, professionally, personally, I spent 12 years at a company that was a startup that I helped to advance, and it had a lot of growth. It was in the warranty and insurance space, so I got to work closely with a lot of really big brands, and some of those were manufacturers and retailers like Apple and Amazon, and a lot of really big brands. Bass Pro is one that was in the outdoor space as a retailer. There were several others, but what I ended up doing across the years was we sold that company to private equity 4 times, and then essentially it got acquired by a global organization, AIG, which is a huge, global insurance organization. So I got to spend another 6 years with AIG and get the experience of that corporate world. So I, spent probably over 2 decades now in the marketing space, with a very wide range of skill sets that I have acquired throughout those years, working with both big companies and small. Where I started to cross over into the outdoor space is I really wanted to leave the corporate world and go back to sort of that entrepreneurial culture, work with a startup. And I was acquaintances with Brad Luttrell at Go Wild, and we ended up having a conversation right in the time frame that I was wanting to leave the corporate space. And he said, "Why don't you come on and help me with marketing?" So I did that with Go Wild for nearly a year. And what that did for me personally was just checked a couple of boxes, both on the professional side with, really wanting to work and grow my knowledge in the marketing space for mobile apps and what that meant to the outdoors and how that related to communicating within the outdoor industry. And as I learned a little bit more about that and started working closely with them as their CMO, it is really how I ended up learning about a number of brands, including POMA. And it just really allowed me to recognize that I needed to also check that personal box and my passion for the outdoors. So that's kind of my background. That was a lot. So I'll just take a moment and see what questions you have.
That's great. Yeah. And how would you say your corporate experience translates, I guess, into your new role with POMA? You're now our director of business and marketing. So, how are you going to plan to incorporate what you learned in corporate America into our organization, you think?
Well, I think there are a number of ways that will be very applicable. I mean, number one, I had a number of successful programs and products that were developed under my role as head of marketing communications for the insurance and warranty industry. I worked with companies all across the globe. So there were a number of challenges and opportunities to really look at things holistically and find new ways to find revenue streams, growing new products and services to add value to customers, clients. And a lot of that is transferable across a number of different industries. And I think, I've also been a co-founder and have ownership in several different startups. So I think that my passion for really working with, small startups or nonprofit and not-for-profit organizations is going to hopefully bring just a new lens of, information and knowledge around how to develop services, programs, and really highlight the benefits that are meaningful to the POMA members. Not to mention just, securing those relationships in the outdoor space to make sure that we're maintaining our mission, to have some of the world's best content creators within our organization.
Excellent. Yeah, I know we've been talking offline about your plans and how those of us on the board will help you in maximizing the organization's reach. And I can't wait till we get to discuss even more of that. But what have you enjoyed so far about being involved, even as you have kind of in an advisory role? You were helping us a lot with marketing. What has been kind of your impression of the organization compared to, let's say, maybe other comparable groups you've heard of or seen? And what attracted you so much to get more involved, do you think?
Well, I would say that my first year attending POMA, the business conference, I was really impressed with the just how welcoming the members are and the ability to sort of break down any barriers and help members and corporate partners connect. And connecting people is something that I really enjoy personally, professionally. I've done a lot of that. And so I think that was the thing that attracted me to want to get closer to the operations of POMA. And, from a marketing standpoint, there were a number of opportunities, I think, with a lot of smaller, well, I wouldn't say smaller, small is not small, but organizations that are relying on limited resources at times because they are a not-for-profit organization. It's nice if you have people that have the time and ability and passion to step in and help. It's hard to run organizations like this with small teams, and I saw that there was a need, and just because of the experience that I had attending the business conference and creating relationships with new people and just that impact that it had on my own life and personally and professionally, to meet friends and people that frankly would pick up the phone today if I called them for a favor or to bounce something off of. And I just was really impressed with that. And I want more people to know about the benefits of being a part of the organization. So it's truly coming from a personal passion that I want to see how I can, help to grow and just continue the good work that POMA's been doing.
That's a good summation. I think everyone has their own unique story of what attracts them to POMA and organizations like it. So I appreciate you telling yours. And do you partake in outdoor activities yourself? I know you kind of discussed it a little bit during our breakfast kind of gathering that we had in Kalispell, but do you partake in it directly yourself and have a curiosity to learn more about the different activities that are kind of covered under our umbrella?
Yeah. So I'll give a little background. I grew up in a family that the men did a lot of the hunting, and I didn't get direct exposure as a young girl, but later in life, I I have to admit, my husband is the one that inspired me. So he and I, when we were dating, we were kind of in that courting phase of, I call it kind of the first quarter, right, of the relationship, where you're like, oh yeah, I want to do whatever you want to do. And he invited me to really just go out in the field. And as I learned a little bit more about how everything's connected, and it just gave me like this new sense of why people hunt. And I love fishing as well. I've done a lot of backcountry trips up in Canada, like really hardcore, get dropped off at point A and picked up at point B a week later, types of experiences. And I've always been very uh, attracted to doing things in the outdoors. So it didn't take much to sort of nudge me in the direction of really understanding and learning more about the hunting space. And I deer hunt, I turkey hunt, and I've done some upland hunting as well. And I've probably been doing that about 8 years now. So I continue to learn more and more. It sounds like a long period of time, but as you may know, Gabby, it's there's so much to really know and understand about the space that if you didn't grow up doing it, it's still, I feel like there's always like something new that I'm learning and experiencing every time I go out. So so I do a little bit of everything, like hunting, camping, fishing. I'm also a runner, so I'm on a mission to complete a marathon in all 50 states. So that's another interesting, like, outdoor piece that is, keeps me active and keeps me interested in just being outside in general.
Those are great reasons to have to go to the outdoors. I share many of those sentiments as well. So I just wanted to pick your brain on that. So thanks for indulging me on that question.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be full-fledged, obviously, to be involved in the industry. Everyone has different levels of commitment, endurance levels. You don't have to be like a fitness athlete whatsoever to be part of the outdoor industry. I think people don't know that that you don't have to follow all those social media influencers, but you want to stay in shape, of course, for good health reasons. But you don't have to be this fitfluencer so much to be a hunter or angler. But yeah, I think everyone has their level of comfort of how far they want to go, what they want to do, the different types of activities. I'm weird and I like to do hunting, fishing, and shooting sports, all three of them. Some people may choose one of the three. I do like camping, hiking, and canoeing and kayaking as well. I don't get to do those last three as much as I'd like to, but there's many different ways that you can be engaged in the outdoors. Is there anything else you want to add so my listeners are aware of your efforts, how you're going to be more involved in POMA, or ways that they can connect with you?
Yeah, I just want to encourage people to reach out. I know that this is, sort of a bittersweet period for as Shelley is stepping down, and she has just done so much, and I have such a high respect for her, and I know that she's created a lot of great relationships over the years, and I want to absolutely encourage members to get to know me. This is a great way to do that, so I really appreciate you taking the time. But I'm here for people to reach out to. I'm always open to ideas and ways that we can improve how we're doing things as an organization and supporting and nurturing the membership. So just want to make sure that that's very open. I do have a POMA email address, which is jen@professionaloutdoormedia.org. So that is a great way to just reach out. And then, of course, I'm involved in the social media. So DMing me through POMA _ HQ at Instagram, Facebook is another way to reach out. I'm just looking forward to seeing how I can get to know the organization and the people and the members and corporate partners better, and just really seeing how we can continue to do a lot of this great work, because I really believe wholeheartedly in the mission of POMA. And I think maybe it was Tony Bynum that had said, this is some of the world's best content creators and communicators in this space. And it's just been amazing to meet some of these people in person, yourself included, to be a part of that great work. I mean, it's just, there's such an amazing amount of talent that it happens within the POMA membership. And it's really been nice and interesting to continue to be a part of it. And I'm excited to be a part of it in a much bigger way now.
We are so happy to have you. I know I speak for the board that we are really excited to have you kind of undertake Shelley's role. She is leaving a void, but I think you're going to help make up for the difference and even maybe carry on beyond what she helped establish in her role. So for those outside POMA, you can also be interested in these type of dynamics too. But Jenn is very resourceful, really knowledgeable, and we're going to try to incorporate more of her business stuff. I think maybe we'll have to revisit about business and outdoor stuff a little bit later too. So Jenn, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I hope people connect with you. They learn more about POMA. They can direct their questions towards you. If they have questions about wanting to help our brand grow a little more and working with us in a greater capacity, I think you'd be the perfect person for them to talk to. So really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Gabby. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to District of Conservation. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't already, make sure you find us on your preferred podcast player. We largely circulate on Apple, Spotify, and countless others, but those are our two big podcast platforms we want to push. Make sure you're subscribed there, especially on Apple. If you like the podcast a lot, go leave us some reviews. We'd be more than grateful to get some 5-star reviews from you guys. Moreover, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and a little bit on YouTube. We don't populate there, but connect with us on social media. Find me personally on social media with blue check marks. Super easy to find, and I would love to hear your feedback and know who you'd like to see on the podcast. Thanks for listening to District of Conservation. Stay tuned for the next episode.